This video, critical thinking. Um, I'm gonna post it on YouTube so we can have I always put my things on video. I mean on YouTube to have proof of what basically I'm saying in some form. But this is critical thinking. Uh, for employees, you pretty much got to be the best employee you could be. Calling in and this and that. You might have people that can overthrow your position by coming in and saying, I'll work, I'll do it, whether they risk their life or not, uh, and possibly take your position. Uh, Also on critical thinking, you got to think about all the parts that's made in China. Tesla, all his parts was made in China, and our so-called infrastructure of technology and all of those things like that, basically they just not coming back. It would take too many years to redefine what we had, train, open up factories. That can't happen overnight. We could build cheap houses overnight. You could throw up a house real quick. Uh, but basically you can't, infrastructure, you can't, for technology, you can't just throw up overnight. You can't throw up in 1 year. Most people go get associate degrees in 12 to 15 months. So you can't rebuild a structure that's been devastated like this overnight. 2 3 years, minimum 5 years. Get ready for cars with roll up windows. Uh, Things like that. I'm gonna talk about all the critical things that people not thinking about. Yeah, cars will be roll up windows. How you doing, Ian? And the technical things that we have, the GPS systems and stuff, all the critical parts. Uh, who knows how many people died in China? Who knows how many parts that we have that won't be coming back? Well, if even if they came back, how long will it take to come back? Um, I think it's year zero. That's where we at, and as soon as we understand that we're in year zero, and understand once again, there's no magic button to get back like we were. My sister worked at Target 30 years. She just made 30 years. They offered her uh 30 days to stay home with pay. My brother transport cars. They pretty much laid him off until further notice. Uh, so who will get the 22, 23 Dodge Durango, Dodge, whatever, Mercedes? Those things won't be coming back. It's a lot of things made in the United States like Band-Aids, but a person like me that really moves a lot, like Harbor Freight tools, things that we need for our structure, all those things made in China. And I was in Harbor Freight with my buddy. We had to stand line, 6 feet apart, even though me and him just got the car together. Went in there, everything you flip over is China. So my buddy said, Glenn said, well, why they steady getting parts? Well, I say, Glenn, the warehouses in California. And once those warehouses become empty, it will be no more parts. And so for the guys that do need tools and stuff like that, make sure you have all those things. Make sure you have automatic shavers and things like that. It's just not coming back. So I wanted to do a video, and I'll upload this video once again to YouTube to allow, once you understand that we're not coming back. It's so many features I could say where we're not coming back. Computers, you have parts that won't come back. So if your computer breakdown, once we use those resources on parts, uh, that's it. So we have to get those factories. Yeah, we assembled some things here, but the parts, this is the critical thinking on parts. But as more people go home for their own personal safety, you have to look at the fact that a lot of those things won't be produced as fast as we needed them. And I didn't do a video, and I hadn't been on Facebook in a while because I had to think about a way to do it. Because it do seems like it's a panic, it's a it's more of a negative subject, but it's really positive because you could take the steps you need now to prepare for year zero, which we are in right now. And I like to share that because it doesn't bother me to start over in year zero. Uh, being that year 2020 was the end of that particular decade, whether we like it or not. Uh, I'm gonna hit on everything. I was out there in Crosby this weekend with my buddy, and he delivered a lot of food, and he said, "Tony, the truck's slowing down." I said, "What you mean, Glenn?" And he said, "Well, let me show you a post." And so someone put a post and said they're not running their trucks in the ground to make little bit amounts of money. I think one load was like 300 two ways. And for people that don't understand, you have startup costs. If Glenn have a flat, Glenn would have had to say, "Hey Tony, get the truck, bring me a tire, da, da, da." Whatever it may be. The brakes may lock up, the bags may bust, things like that. So it had 200. I only read 289 posts where everybody said, "I'm putting my truck, I'm parking my truck," because they don't want to beat their trucks up. A lot of people just think the trucks run, run, run. No, it's a lot of work in truck. We change brake shoes, we change all those things on them trucks, and it's real expensive. When I go out there with my buddy and we hit the auto parts store for the big diesels, it's real expensive. So he's pretty much parking his truck, uh, so he still make runs, but enough to do what he need to do for his family only. And so a lot of people, it was thousands of posts on there, but everybody said that they were parking their trucks. Now, one point I want to get to is that summer's coming, which it's still feeling like it's cool now. So seeds are gonna take a little bit more time to germinate. So we're gonna have an issue with our crop. They're gonna fail, and they failing because this weather is real too cool to germinate. We need sun to germinate. And so for people that don't understand the agriculture part of it, you really need to educate yourself on that particular part or get prepared. I know a lot of people in the city and things like that, but you have to take some type of precaution on your food storage. You have to, because when winter hit, even if we go through midsummer and have a hurricane, remember how things were when Rita hit, whether it was in New Orleans or not. My business took a hit, but I stayed in there and fought, but I lost a lot, but I did reclaim, but we restarted. So, it wasn't as devastating as this. We just found out that Jennifer's sister was positive. She did do what we said. She took the vitamin and she came up negative. It's that simple. We still have other people like my brother. He took the test. He still's positive after his second test. So the vitamins, the information that I gave people is real. You got to stay dosed up on 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily. I go out every day, but I'm around, pretty much the same individual. I even offer them vitamin C to keep their immune system at top notch. The immune system that our creator gave us. We have an immune system. So I decided to come back today because we're finding out more people that have the corona, which my son at Gallery Furniture, one of his friends' wife that works in the deli, she came up positive. So being that him and his wife worked there, they had to take him off of work. So now he's gonna be impacted. Say if he have a savings account, he's supposed to start deleting that savings account. So, my point of coming on is always to say, hey, you have to look at the bigger picture. Everything was pretty much made in China. Sure, we got some things that was created here, but they're not. They're just things like band-aids and stuff like that, brushes, comb. But a lot of things have been, created in China, and it's just not coming back because the worlds are believing that China either did it on purpose, or even if the bioweapon got out by mistake, it happened. And that's where we have to start back from. So they're not trusting that particular country anymore. I'm sure Russia will do a deal with them, but you talking down the lines once they able to figure out some type of sanitation a procedure to get things back in here, like maybe spray a whole container and it kills off 99.9% of the actual virus that affected everybody in the whole wide world. I talked to Larry up in Japan. Japan still shut down, but it's called a soft quarantine, he said. And he said that they can't, because of their constitution, they can't make them stay home. And so we just in phase one. There China has have cases that where people uh tested positive, and now they're coming back positive again. So that's going to be round two. So a lot of people don't want to hear it, but I talked to my oldest daughter. She was like, "Daddy, no, go back on Facebook Live and tell the people that maybe one person will listen." But I think we got a big day coming ahead when winter hit. This is when those particular the crops are gonna start having problems. You have to understand that. So if you're an individual and you eat 3 times a day, you would need 3 canned goods per day, just to sustain yourself, and for as the other liquids that you need, water or whatever juice that you drink, you're gonna need it. And so I want to put this on record that, hey, yeah, I told you, you have to prepare. And like I told my daughter, if you have, say, 180 cans of soup, chili, or whatever may have you, and that magic button do get pushed, hey, the food bank is out. People are begging for food, so you could take that cans. If we have a magic button, you could take those cans and donate them to the food bank, and all is well. Hey, Tony was wrong. We move on. But I'm kind of pretty sure I'm not wrong, because I could do critical thinking all day long. Let's see other things that we have. We're gonna get ready for cars to be back typical. We wouldn't ever push a button. I wouldn't vote to push a button to go back to the way we were, because it wasn't sustainable. I mean, where we at right now shows that the old system was not sustainable. It wasn't, because if it was sustainable and we had people that were always doing 100% of their job, we wouldn't be here where we are today. So that's why I came on today. You know, if you have family up in country areas, hey, go to those country areas. You know, hey, donate something. Hey, I have $2,000. I like to come on the farm, do my work, do this. And do societies, and that's what it's gonna come down to. And things like this. You know and those are things that we just have to do. you know um so of course we starting early. This weather is cool. It's I almost need to put on a jacket, but yeah. So get everything you need, guys, women, personal things. Make sure you have enough to sustain you minimum 6 months. I've seen posts that says, "Oh, they're gonna reopen this." I wouldn't reopen a school, and then one kid get infected. Like I just told you, my son now he has to get tested, and he has a newborn baby, so he's really risking going to work his newborn child. And the baby is like I think 3 weeks old. I haven't even had an opportunity to see no more than pictures. Two grandkids. Deja and Kendrick have two girls. So you have to get those things that you need. And now that most of the panic buying is over with, which I still see panic buying, but I called my mama. She pretty much utilized all her saving resources, just food. I said, "What did you do with it?" I said, "Did you eat it all up?" She was like, "Yeah, we cooking every day. We can't go nowhere." You know. And so your system might be good, but for some other people, who which my mom have, April Field, a weak immune system. The heart is the whole, motor of the body. So that's one of the main things you would want to keep healthy. I could recommend you Pro-Arginine and L-Arginine. One is for the immune system. Yeah, I took it years and years, and never been out of breath. And I still smoke cigars still today. So I know it's effective. It's up to the individual to go and take care of their body as needed. But you will see gas go up. Gas gonna go all the way down. My point. This was just my personal point. Our gas up here already started going up. It was 182 yesterday when I put $30 in the car. So the gas will go up, and most people would have to even stay no more than 2-3 miles away from work just to sustain their budget. once gas hit $6 and stuff like it, used to do up in California. And so, yeah, so, but all the laptops, we would have to redo warehouses, which we don't have. We don't have those warehouses. And we would have to train youth. We would have to train the young people how to do those things. Most people are just educated in a so-called physical way where they can use their brain to do this and work a computer like that. Before it's soldering and programming computers like that, we have a lot of that, but we don't have that actual soldering capacity of the soldering individual. And let's say we do have those people. uh Say your score, just say your college score was a your GPA was 3.4, almost a 4, and say one was the lowest, who would get the job first? It's 10.9 people hit the unemployment line. So your score would be based on who's the best person for this job, well as how many times, Tony been late for work. Say I clock in late for work. We got another guy never clocked in work late for work. Well, he's more eligible for that position than me, even if I work hard at him, because they could trust him. So this is where the ethics of workmanship is gonna start coming in. And so you can't be one of those individuals that tend to say, hey, I'm qualified for the job, but when we look at your record, this, you didn't miss this many days, your excuses was because of this, because of a flat, things like that. You're gonna have guys that never miss work, period, never, perfect attendance. And those individuals are going to be top of the line for the small amount of workers that will be able to work. And so I just, it's just depressing to see the post of individuals that haven't woke up yet, haven't understood that we're in year zero. Um, on one side of the town, it's like crazy. It's murder, it's wrecks, it's everything on this particular side of the town in Houston every single day. And so it's gonna put cops at risk, and at some point those cops have family. Some of them our family members, and they're gonna say, you know what, I can't do it. I'm at too much of a risk coming out here for this. And then that's a possibility, a 50% possibility, everything let go. There's not enough Army Guard military to sustain everybody on 4 quarters of the United States of America. It's not enough. It's not enough. Our numbers of military personnel have dropped dramatically, and so to sustain something like that, you would have to be really uh recruiting at this point in time. And this is critical thinking. The little things for us, well, I need to get my hair cut. I need to get my hair done. Those days are over. It's post on there what beauty shop open. So as and when I did this at some point, which is the cigars, I understood that I was speaking to God, and God said, you robbing out your kid's mouth. I said, what do you mean? If your kid come ask you, Daddy, I need some shoes. Say I smoke $40 worth of cigars a month. I robbed my kids from shoes. Hey, y'all can't get those shoes. I don't have the money. Well, I did have the money. So, even yesterday I went out and, honestly, I didn't make a lot, but I made something to keep the food supply normal. So yesterday I made $25. I was willing to do whatever it took to keep my budget for as food maintained, and not rely on any stimulus check. That stuff would be spent. That stuff would be, if I got 1,200 plus a kid, five or whatever it is, I would basically go buy panels and batteries to make sure that my power grid is up to par. My rain catchment system is filtered properly. That's what I would invest my money on. And so I couldn't fathom the idea of starting a business unless it meets a demand. Face mask, uh seeds, which everybody that did order seeds, your seeds are coming. Your seeds are coming. And so things like that, we're going to have to be innovators, new innovators, not doing the things that we did the old way. The old system didn't work, and it's not coming back. I could see it Trying to think of all the critical things. Tires, they're not coming back. We have some factories here, but some of those people at work, I mean, at home, they're not risking their family by going to work. So we have a street straight ahead. You can't see the highway, but that highway there, you used to can hear the trucks coming miles away. It's slowing down, you know, and so you can't really hear that roar like you do because that road there is a highway is 75 miles an hour, and you can hear a car go, pretty much a mile down the street, and it's slowing down. You used to can hear them early in the morning around 7, 6 o'clock, but you barely hear them, and that's what really wakes me up, and get me going. But all the emblems, all the parts for our cars, we still have things in storage, factories like that. And so once we hit summer, you looking at the grid. So if anybody knows about the grid has to be maintained. It takes 1 year to create one of the transformers because it's mineral oil. It takes minimum 1 year. So if we have a hurricane come through or a tornado for whoever area that have tornadoes, because I've been in a tornado right in the Humble area, right off Wilson Road, and so when it knocks down or destroy the power system, you're not going to have enough people to reach you and everybody else in a mannerable time. Like one time when I stayed on the north side of Houston, it took 2 weeks for power to come back in. I think that was around Rita time. So it took 2 weeks. We and I had just sold my generator. So that's another thing that you could prepare for those things there. And for people who don't know how to run a generator, you don't put the gas in it, cut it on, and you're good. What you do with a generator is you fill it up with gas and you wait for the proper time to say, hey, okay, the ice box been on about 4 or 5, been out 4 or 5 hours. I'm gonna fire up this generator, and it while the generator is running, everybody take a bath, do this, do that, or whatever that when you need lights and things like that. But the infrastructure is it's cut, it's interrupted, but it still seems like everything is normal. I was doing some work the day before yesterday, and the TV had me in a reality that everything was fine. Hey, you need life insurance. Hey, you need this. Hey, well, if you got COV, a lot of people, Italy and other places, they just cremating. Why would you want to bury a contaminated body and let someone years later down the line pull another virus up? We don't know how long. Oh well, the professionals say, well, if the professionals knew anything, we wouldn't be here today. So at some point, somebody has to do critical thinking, and so yeah, and we don't have a secret enemy. It's just the COVID. We don't have the elite really taking control of us. They may be utilizing it for their purpose right now, but you got to understand these individuals have underground facilities where they can sustain for so many years. And with that said, uh, these individuals with underground facilities know that on top they would be noticed. If it was a certain person trying to control us at this particular time, say, hey, I'm gonna put a virus out here, this and that and that and that, then we would be able to see those individuals. We are many, you are we the people, but of course the elite consider you we the sheeple. So if it was the Illuminati, if it was the elite of the world, these people would risk being exposed because we would be able to see them now, being that people gonna die off and everybody's at home and these people live in lavish. This is the whole world, so we would be able to spot individual that had put us in more like that. So they're suffering too. The elite method was to keep you enslaved, give you what you want, give you credit cards, put you in debt. This is how the elite was structured. This is the training that they went to. Hey, give them free cell phones, give them food stamps, give them this, which they are doing now, but it's really at a need to get you back to be we the sheeple, be controlling. They're losing it. They have family. They just don't have 50 family members. They just like all of us have 200, 300 family members. So are they that destructive where they would risk their family? Do they have a underground facility to house 400 of their family members? So these would have to be evil, evil people to have done this. And so I went to Revelation, and Revelation says that this is the first woe, and it will be done by him when he reads the paper in front of the podium with the seal, and that's the president. So the first woe, not that he did it. I'm not attacking that individual, but the Revelation 8 through 11 and 1 through 6 is real. And this is where we at. And it tells you we're going to have two more woes, and it said the tube with bone, and it said it does not represent the mortar and trumpets. So the bone is the mouth. This is the tube, the throat right here. So if you go read Revelation 6, and pretty much read the whole thing, you understand that you're in apocalypse. It said the first woe will start the apocalypse. That's what you're in. You're in apocalypse. And you could tend to not believe that, but what kind of kills me is that you have individuals that visit, they're not churches. Your church is your home. Your husband the pastor, your wife, if you're a woman, you're the first lady, and your kids are the congregation, and you fellowship at buildings. They're actually called buildings. These individuals should be telling you that, hey, the apocalypse have started. And I wish it was possible where I could call my son, my daughter, they call somebody, and we all pray at one time. And we would be able to vibrate the earth and say, hey, God, I know you gave up your most precious thing you ever can have, and that was his son. He gave it up for us, for me, Tony, who is a piece of scrap, because he created me out the scrap yard, you know. And I always tell him that I'm not worthy for you to be in my home. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of that. Even though I don't go out and do destruction, kill, steal, or anything like that. I'm just an individual that's not worthy. That's my humility that I sustain for myself. And so that's where we are. And a little bit more on critical thinking. We did infrastructure, we did cars. The system with cars wasn't right. Every car had some type of defect, recall. So at some point now we can go back and we can, it was a guy had a Ford truck. Oh, it was a Ford tractor. My buddy Glenn bought, and it's an old tractor. But he say, well, man, what's wrong with it? The guy say, well, it's just this steering wheel right here. But it took 40 years to break. So it was one of the first Ford tractors. And so going back to where we start, we were able to jump a hurdle when we got to 2020 before we started year zero over. Another thing with the power lines, summer's coming. If the weather do ease up and we do hit the 90s like we usually do, you looking at the power grid, blackouts, things of that nature, because a lot of people home. The infrastructure was made where businesses use power during the day. That means schools, your job, and homes would kind of basically calm down on using power. And now that the kids aren't in school, we're going to be overloaded on the grid. The grid is not as powerful as you think. That's why a lot of countries had choose to do solar farms, so we can ease the tension on the power grid, because people are gonna pump up the AC. I heard the AC on yesterday, just running. It was about 60, 51 degrees outside, and they had the AC on. So that was something that I wanted to talk about. Also, was that the power grid? You're gonna have those individuals that maybe can go to work, but the job offered them, hey, won't you go home with your family for 30 days? We'll still pay you. Them individuals gonna take that vacation, especially if they getting full pay, because my brother and sister, they getting full pay. And so even with offering an individual, that type of certificate, just call it a certificate of monetary value, is something behind it. It's kind of like when the old cliche, when money don't grow on trees. When you ask your mama for something and you ask again and she says, oh, money don't grow on trees. Well, it's the same cliche. If it don't grow on trees and these businesses are offering to send these individuals home, even though we have COVID-19, it's something undefined. To me, it almost feel like the Green Mile, your last walk right before you get executed. Not that we're going to get executed, but it's kind of like, let's pay them back. Let's give some type of reward for what they did do for the world. We're sorry like that. And I stand by that 100% because, me, I'll sit and critical think all day long and be like, well, hey, oh yeah, we're not going to get computers again. We're not going to be able to get these phones, have backup phones. You crack your phones. Most of the strings, I had an individual, that I used to work with who fixed iPhone strings, and he used to order all of his strings, cracked strings from China. I used to sit there and change all the strings for the iPads, other phones also. But make sure you have a backup phone in case you crack your phone, so you can at least stay in contact with people as long as it's possible. Uh, I wanted to touch on 5G. There won't be parts for 5G. You don't have to worry about 5G. 5G not doing nothing to you. They tested that years ago, like 2008, when the birds was falling out the sky, the dolphins was washing up on the beach. That's too far back of an enemy. The enemy is here. The enemy is your health. So with that said, we still have my brother. He came up, he tested again negative. We had Jennifer's sister. She tested positive. She came back negative yesterday, I believe. She was taking the vitamin. We still have. I gotta talk to the other individual. I talked to my daughter. Her uncle tested positive. So I could name several people who tested positive. Doesn't mean they're gonna die, but they are a carrier, and that means that they can affect someone. Oh, my son, his worker next to him, who, well, he didn't work next to him, he was the next manager to him. His wife tested positive, so he had to go home based on that. So it's starting to flare up just like I thought. And so that's what prompted me to do the video, is to say, hey, I'm warning you. But like I say, doesn't mean those individuals will die if they take certain precautions. Like I say, I keep vitamin C with me when I'm out working with my buddy, just me and him. I offer him, hey, here go 1,000 milligram of vitamin C. It works. It actually works. And it works because when you sweat, you perspirate vitamin C. When you use the bathroom, you urinate, you can smell it. So you have that system that our God gave us, is that top notch. You're just prepping it out, because you can OD on vitamin C but not die, but it will just, wash out the body naturally. You actually start perspiring it. And I started perspiring it yesterday, early around 12, 1 o'clock. I started smelling vitamin C. And I was like, and I wasn't in the car around my vitamin C. I just started perspiring vitamin C. So I know my system is top notch. And, you know, um, don't be afraid to sneeze and things like that. Everybody that sneeze and cough, they basically, I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm not a carrier. I'm not going to be a carrier, because I'm going to maintain me. I'm going to maintain this machine here, and make sure that this conscience on the inside of this machine is okay. So I'm going to stop that the COVID-19 with me, and everybody could do that, and then it will die down fast. And I've seen a lot of activities. A lot of activities. Um, up here where I'm at, uh, 20, 30 people together. Church is still going, going fellowship and things like that. So, look for that second wave. You're going to have three parts of it. It's three parts of it. And, so if you look at certain articles, the real articles, not CNN and all them other places that, going to tell you what you want to hear, you can find that China is starting to come back. So the positive, they're testing positive again, like that, up in Wuhan and other parts. But it's a lot of articles going around that, I've validated that's not true. One said, the governor thinking about open school. That's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale, because if you send 10 kids and one kid just go to their auntie house and get it, now you didn't pretty much gonna knock out the whole school. So will it open? It's possible it can open. I wouldn't put my kids in that school, period. At least I would probably do daycare. And even then I would be cautious with that daycare because people have to go to work. And to maintain what they do have today. We're gonna have we markets already crashing for us. Housing market is slowing down, prices dropping. Find your own articles. I don't have time to find all the articles because I have to validate those articles, not just throw a couple of articles up and say, oh, this is my source. No, I go to the source. I have real sources where we actually find those particular numbers that's good. So I know a lot of people want year 2020 to continue, but it haven't. It stopped. It stopped. Whatever month it is. I didn't forgot what day it is. Month. I think today Wednesday. But whatever month, it's been probably about a month since we've been home. So yeah, about a month is when year zero started. So a lot of people ask, what should I do? Hey, make sure you have power tools. Invest your stimulus money in things that can be created for you and your skill. And if it's things that you can't do, try. You'll mess up in the beginning. If it's cutting wood, try it. Be safe as possible. But because you don't want to hit a hospital right now and go even more in debt, like that. So be definitely be precautious on everything you do, but just take your time. That's all you got anyway. It's time. A lot of people at home, and yeah, I'll show you some things I've been working on. Let me flip the camera, people. So hold on one second. Yeah, so I have to get these two right here. Um, I built this one today out of some old strap wood and getting them to start, producing. Because a chicken only produce eggs up to 2 years. It's certain things you could do to get their vitamins up, but their proteins up. But I built that one and I separated a couple of them. And guys, make sure you have your tools. Like mine's need to be updated. Have your battery tools and stuff like that. I have solar as backup, but this is the new world. This is what you have to do to sustain your family. This is what you have to do. And I'll show you the biddies. They getting bigger. I got them in there with some sand because they like to sunbathe and clean themselves off with the sand. So those are some of the little things I had been working on. Uh, yeah, and it's the solar. Once again, for people, call me. You got questions, call me. Been doing solar for years. I got them where you can actually, I can't turn them and hold the phone, but you could turn them toward the sun. I try. They turn. So I'm able to turn them so I can get the maximum amount of sun possible. Actually, they go this way because the sun over there. So I'll turn them this way here. And I'll get that max amount of power, excuse me, that I can get. And I'll show y'all my batteries. Oh, look. For the people that do want to do it, you still have time because all these batteries go on your cell phones. Wow, that's the inverter. That's the charger controller. And I'm pretty much overpowered. It's a 20-volt system, but it's at 27. So I'm like 24, 5, 3 amps over. So I'm kind of like up there on my power. This is 6K, one battery bad. So I'm running 5 kilowatts. I'll explain it to you. If you have a microwave that's 1,000 watts, one of these batteries would be able to run that microwave for 1 hour straight without cutting off. So think about the investment that you need. Please don't worry about hair. Don't worry about nails. That stuff's not coming back. It's not coming back. Why would you want to look good and be starving? Let me get back in the car. So, this is critical thinking. If you got questions, I mean, let's talk. Let's say, well, why wouldn't this come back? Why wouldn't that? Let me flip the camera. I'm sorry. You have people that had shoe companies. Basically, all they manufacturing was in China. So you have, just say if you bought, you were invested in Yeezy for as purchasing. Well, those Yeezys not coming back. Those Yeezys, we would have to have all those things being created here. Hair, all those things. Even India did hair, but they shipped it to China. China assembled it. So those things have to be all reconstructed. It would be like me going outside, taking your garage apart and you putting it back together. That's the type of time that it would take. So if I took a two a two door garage, a loose, every nail, every board, uh, and just left you with the cement, all the shingles, how long will it take you to put that garage back together? So if you multiply that time many, how long will it take to assemble this particular factory and do this? What are you growing in your garden? I'll walk over there. Come on, G. In the garden, we're growing. I think Jennifer over there. Give me a second, yeah. Walk over here. Go through my trail. And I was starting a second pond last week. That when you have well water, you kind of want a pond because it keeps your well flowing. It doesn't go in the water, but it actually seeps in the ground. This was the second. It's kind of rough right now, but that's the pipe where the water goes. Let me see it over here. Where's your mama? All right, go back through it again. Yeah, I think all of that coming up pretty good. Green onions and child-based seeds because we're gonna be able to offer the seed, and I'm gonna have food for family, but it's the point of getting it to the family members. Strawberries still doing good. I think it's been about a week or two since I've seen it. And I'm gonna do some more. I just had to go out and do work to make sure that the food that we do have, we don't eat it all up, and then I get behind. So, like I said yesterday, I just made $25, but I didn't care. You coming? So I really didn't care, and I cleaned it up for pretty good. Cause we got a lot of trees, I don't think these problems. He got these mixed colors. He got it too. But yeah. So in the critical thinking, this is what have to, this is what have to happen. This look like bell peppers right here. These bell peppers do what? Who? She say they top pepper stuff. What new came up? They was asking to see what new came up. Hold on, yeah. But this mint, right? Mint, sweet banana peppers. Yeah, banana peppers, and this look like this kind of seed. That was mustard greens. I'm getting the seeds out there. Yeah, so those would have been cut. Yeah, we eat kale in our salad a lot. It's a little tougher than regular salad, but the kale, and this is the kale. So we love salad, and where the salad is? Oh, right here. Yeah. And so now, the next step to that, everybody is trying to preserve as much as possible. But this pretty much will help us through. We're going to have to give a lot of stuff away. This will hold us through the whole summer. Just a family of 5. Let me move on. Oh, that was yeah, that's the squash. Yeah, kind of look like
trying something else, but it didn't come up. But that's squash.
Yeah, you can still see the seed right here.
And the other
Thanks,
squash
Brittany.
over there got kind of big.
Yeah, those squash got big. So, and like I say, this weather is kind of cool. So, he starting off bad. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, whether it's not a good seed or not, this can happen. If you got 20 seeds of squash, a lot of them not gonna produce. Every seed is not guaranteed to be able to seed off. So
this is he's standing on. I forgot what it was. Oh, artichoke.
Oh, artichoke. Yeah, that's artichokes right there. Oh, I'm sorry. Covering the mic. I'm sorry. And once again, here go You know, a little apple that was grown from seed right here. Uh, yeah, and this one right here, this is another apple that was grown from seed. So, you know, I just encourage, if you need seeds, call us. We have some seeds, you know. We're gonna let most of these things much better. We can hear you. Okay, I'm sorry, yeah. And more greens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, more greens.
Collard greens.
Yeah, and my son, my second oldest son, he was saying that's all he eat is greens and collard green. And I was like, man, you kind of prepped up, because I had called all my kids that was basically 18 and over, and told them, this is your last stand. Where you at is where you're gonna be. This is where you have to go to war at. And war meaning this is where you're gonna have to try to fight and stay alive with the stores around you and stuff like that. Let's check the grapefruit. Yeah, they doing pretty good. These were those grapefruits we showed you about 2 weeks. This gonna be an apple. This gonna be an apple in here. He haven't seen it yet. I should put him in a hot place, but you know, and that's the trail. That's way down there in the trail. So yeah, and here go the orange tree. Still doing good. I'm probably gonna clear some space for him to get a little bit more sun. But you know, you wanna see sometimes the lemon, lime, and tangerine, your baby, you won't be able to tell, but they'll get kind of green and a light green on them. So, and see this avocado, he hanging. This one here, this one hang. I'm gonna pull that out because he hanging. This ain't no good. So I'm gonna have to probably open up a little spot so when our sun come in, that they can get that morning sun. All right, yeah. Let me go back. So yeah, so you know, you gotta think about all the critical things. Yeah, those greens doing good. Which one is those?
That's collard greens.
Collard greens, yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, so when we first got here, I had dug a well once again. Well been doing pretty good. And this is just to pretty much feed the plants. Make sure we got water for the plants. I'm glad you told me. Okay. Yeah, I told him. But yeah, he said that my second oldest son say that's what he was gonna do his little do his stand, you know, and that's for everybody. Where you at is where you're gonna stand. You know, a lot of people planning on, I had a couple people planning on, because not everybody sleep. I'll tell you that. Everybody not sleep. It's just that they're gonna stay where they're comfortable until that time to go ahead and get out from the area that they're in. You know, and believe me, I wish it was a magic button, because it was a lot of things in a lot of places I wanted to go. But for people that's thinking about opening a business, that business have to be it would have to be some type of sustainable development where it sustains you and other people that's in need right now. Because if it's 10.9 people that's going on unemployment, I mean, the number's just gonna keep growing. People, it's just gonna keep growing. I'm sorry. And so yeah, this was just critical thinking. Yeah, computers, all the parts for the computers, cell phones, things like that, they just not coming back. It's gonna take too long. We don't manufacture those things here in United States of America. All the companies took their facilities overseas for lower costs, and it cost us in the end. So make sure you have, you know, a good laptop. Make sure you have a good cell phone. Make sure your car is at tip-top condition. That don't mean go put a motor in it, but it means to just make sure you have those brake pads fresh and on it, if you have the money. You know, your food come first. Your food come first. Each individual need 3 canned goods minimum per day. And you know, I basically went on 3-day fast, so I cut down the consumption of food that let me plug my phone. I pretty much cut down the amount of food that I consume daily. because it was critical to everybody else. And at some point, I make sure that the kids get their little treats and stuff, and explain to them that these particular things that you eating, candy, Takis, whatever it may be, don't eat all your candy up in one day, because the next day, just like when people start buying up everything, that candy might not be available. Now I was told it's gonna be food in the stores is just gonna be high. It's gonna be inflation, which I explained that. Everybody's like, my eggs this, my eggs that. I've seen weenies go up. I've seen gas go up. So, where you at, it may be different. I don't know why. I have a theory, but it doesn't matter. Theories don't matter. Proof only matter. So I've seen things start to go up, that from the way that we purchase food over from the area that we're in. And every area is different. And so make sure if you have kids, if someone donates you clothes, take those clothes. If your kid is 2 years old and they give you three, four, five, take them, pack them up, vacuum them down in a bag and store them for later use, because your kid's going to start growing, and we don't know the outcome of the production of clothes. You got millions of people on the earth, and we don't know where those things will be able to get shipped through. We don't know if the infrastructure may fail. Just say it's a bridge that leads you from one town to another one. You may not have workers. So take those clothes, use those clothes, and like I say, if there's a magic button, we'll be able to donate all those things to the food bank and Goodwill, and be able to help people that can't help themselves. So the things that we store may be valuable to other people if, and this is a big if, because I want to leave percents for our creator to say, hey, I believe everybody repented that I needed to repent, and I'm gonna push a magic button and do these things for you all. Maybe just say Russia donate a whole bunch of equipment to us so we can start manufacturing, let alone we purchase those things from Russia, and so make sure you keep things stored for use, for barter. You could trade. Just say I have kid 1, 8. You may have clothes that's 9, and all your kids 10, 11, 12. So we would be able to barter. And this is just thinking in war. This is what we need. Hey, what can I trade you for this? Like that. And I'm sure there'll be like a post, where you can meet up and everybody swap me, where it's basically protected with our so-called people who we consider to be our protectors at that time. It may be me. I'll watch and make sure everybody do their particular trade good and this and that and that, make sure people won't steal. But if those doors to the prisons, move that chick, move it, is in the camera. If those doors open up on those prisons, you have to understand. I'm not knocking them. I have family members that's incarcerated, but you got to understand, if we barely making it, those individuals get out, they have nothing. They have nothing. So how are they going to get something if they don't have nowhere? Just say if they parole them somewhere, they don't have anything, and so that second instinct kicks in to the point where, hey, they gonna get what they need by all means. And so make sure you accept clothes and things like that. That's where we at. I always been that type. Hey, Tony, your kid, what size your kids wear? Oh, they're 8 and I had no problem doing that, because I would be able to save on budget and give them more things that they did want. And so it was never a problem. Me, even you got a guy, hey, Tony, I got pants, I tear up doing what I do. So, I would definitely take things like that, and utilize them to the fullest. Let alone they'll be used for rags, washing cloth. We don't, a lot of that stuff came from China, you know. And so this, I wanted to really touch on some more things. Please don't put your family at risk. Don't risk taking out of the budget because you used to having habits of going, say, get haircut, hair done. Please don't risk your family for budget. I'm not talking about the actual getting out of the vehicle, going get your haircut and stuff like that. I'm talking about budget structure. work together, with budget and say, hey, what do we need? If your man come to you or your woman come to you and it's something vital for the family that you definitely can use, hey, work together. I got 200. I got 200. Let's go buy what we need. And like I say, you can always use it. Just say if it's a generator. We could use that on if we had the magic button come back, you can use that for camping, things like that. Property out in your cabin and stuff like that. So work together, because it's gonna be real critical that we stay together and work through certain things. But I think we're gonna have a real devastating winter. That's when everything's gonna basically start hitting hard for a lot of people that can't produce food. What? Hey, what's wrong? Excuse me. G. Oh, keep playing, yeah. I'm sorry, but yeah. So winter is gonna be one of the hardest hit times, because a lot of people can't just go outside and do the things that they need to do. They're going to be totally reliant on a system. And if that system fail them, then, I'm going to do my part as much as I can and deliver what I have available, because my family of five, we only can eat so much food. I'm going to make sure I do what I need to do, whether it's chicken, it's eggs and or things to do with. Yeah, so stock clothes, stock things like that, and have your things together for barter. Have your radios ready. These are things we need anyway. For to have to be able to reach say your spouse. Like that. In times where if it get too hard, Jennifer have a CB little walkie-talkie. I have a CB walkie-talkie, because you'll have people traveling. You have people out there traveling to get resources. I'm not saying they're bad, but when you face with a situation where someone come into a neighborhood and you used to the neighborhood, but you not used to that, can go bad real quick. So make sure that your spouse has little pouch on they arm or in their waist where they have their protection. A shovel, a knife is protection, but here I value my family, so I believe that we've done everything Christ asked us to do, our Creator. So I'm gonna make sure that she's strapped up with what she needs, and I've seen a little 25 that I'm gonna get her to make sure, because if you're a good individual, you deserve to be here. If you have somebody that comes to your door with a weapon, a lethal weapon to me is, that's a lethal weapon. A 22, 25, 380 could be lethal, but it takes a certain person to make that lethal. But if someone comes to your door and you have your family in there and you have been a good citizen, you have been a good productive individual, you have a right to be here. Our founding fathers has a it was based up by our readings, and so they put that in our constitutions to be able to bear arms for reasons. Typical shotgun was a house utensil, no more than a broom. It was just a broom. So think about how you and your family, you need to protect. If you have on your fate. I'm not here to destroy anyone's fate. Live on your fate, however you choose to live on your fate. Claudine say, bang, bang. I'm not playing. You can't, people. You can't. From a person been in the streets, I'm telling you, I've had guns put to my face. That blood will rush. That blood will rush so fast that you will get dizzy. You have to be trained. You would panic. It's kind of like if you're in a house where it's a suspect and they get the wrong house and they come in, freeze, lay down, everybody lay down. Your mind automatically just says lay down. The conscience automatically tells the body, which is your car, to lay down. I need to sit down. So. Oh, gee, yeah. But yeah, so those are things in war that you have to be trained in. I had an uncle been to Vietnam, and like I said again, when he raised up, he say you couldn't. When you raise up, all you hear is zoop, 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 like mosquitoes, but it's bullets. So you have to lay down. They gave him a shovel, a small shovel, and they would have to dig foxhole. And hopefully it don't get that bad, but we'll get at a 50-50 percentage. But I just like to come back on and do critical thinking for people and understand that even when we do start manufacturing of cars, it's gonna be roll up windows. We won't have GPS and those things like that because all those things were from one country. One country manufactured those things. And we have done so many things wrong as a nation that other nations probably wouldn't even want to deal with United States of America. So that's what gives me a more probability that we're gonna have roll up windows. Where Tesla shut his plant down. I had to figure out why Tesla shut his plant down. It's because everything was from China, and he knows for a fact that nothing's coming back. So as a businessman, he said, "I need to get out of here. I'll furlough these people." Da 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 da. Now it's other electric cars like Neo. I was gonna do Neo stock. That's a Japan car. Uh, no, China. It's in China. Actually, Neo was in China. Yeah, Neo was in China, so Neo's not coming back. And so I'm not also looking at Bitcoin now that we understand that there's no elite enemy that actually did this. There's no reason for Bitcoin at this point. I do believe it'll hit 2,000. I mean 10,000. I do believe it'll hit 200,000. But at the point, I don't trust the system. So how will I be able to get my currency to flow if already my phone do what it do? People, you haven't called me, Tony. I have called you 3-4 times. I was with my buddy in Crosby the other day. He had 23 missed calls. Phone didn't fire up one time, not one time. So those things also not reliable based on the traffic that comes through the fiber optic cables. It's not enough. We can't sustain the grid. All those things are called grid. They can't sustain that much pressure. So, I wouldn't rely on Bitcoin. I was relying on Bitcoin when I thought we were being attacked, say, by the elite or something like that. But now, as I do critical thinking and start to understand that, yes, we are in year zero. No, these things will not come back. Yes, you have to change everything you do. If I had a diploma, I would stop relying on my diploma at this point and put it on the back skirt and rely on surviving first. I'm sorry for a lot of people that went to college and waste all those years to get to the point in year zero start. But that's some of the sacrifices that we take in war. You know, so don't rely on a lot of those things. Start your business if it's gonna be a business that's gonna help to go forward. You might end up being real successful after the dust settles. After the dust settles. And right now it's a lot of dust. Where I'm at, fountain drinks are no longer available. And so I was a fountain drinking individual. Most of the time it was tea, but even the tea is not out to be dispensed like it used to be. So now I have to retire that habit of having that cigar, which that's going to eventually go away too, because at some point, where did those cigars come from? I had a box. I didn't really read that, but I'm gonna look at that and figure out where those cigars come from. But it's not something that I just need to have every single day. I could deal with it. I already didn't start, puffing one, putting it out like that, and start coming off of that habit. Because basically a cigar habit. Now cigarettes is a totally different thing. That's addictive. But cigars is just a habit. It's like the tea or the Dr. Pepper is the mom or the daddy, and the cigar is the opposite sex. That's all it is. And so, but during my 3 day fast, total 3 day fast, I was able to. I'll explain it to you. Day one, pretty good. I was working during those 3 days, real a lot of hard work, and I really didn't. I got a little tired, but for some reason I got the energy back. I was just drinking water, had a soda, 1 or 2 sodas per day, and so I got that energy back. Day two, the brain was saying, "Hey, eat, eat," but I wasn't hungry. At night, my stomach did gargle a lot, but it wasn't. I wasn't hungry. I didn't want to eat. And then that was day two. I'm sorry. And then day three.